Hi, my name is Anthony, a.k.a. Vooch.
And I'm his wife, Angie.
And this is the Slow to Speak with Vooch podcast. At different times in our lives, we are faced with loss of different kinds, whether the loss of someone we love or something we hold dear to us. When supporting the griever, it is hard to know what to say or what to do. Well, I'm excited for this season on Slow to Speak with Vooch podcast. My wife, Angie, and I will be discussing some suggested etiquettes when supporting a griever.
Over the past 10 years, I have experienced so many losses, family and relative losses, friend losses, job losses, and health loss. Experiencing loss upon loss to me felt like a wave of water that just kept hitting my face to the point of leaving me breathless. In my experience with losses, I found that many were unaware of the proper etiquettes to use when supporting the grieving. So I was encouraged by a friend to write down my experiences. This led to family, friends, and me to write a book called Suggested Etiquettes for the Grieving. These suggestions are only a framework of ways to consider when supporting a person grieving any loss.
These following podcasts are going to be with the authors of the book, so please enjoy. Support. A lot of times I didn't know what to say. I just listened, but
during those times I could tell it was just like, I said, I need some other people because I know he's trying to listen and you didn't do anything wrong, what I'm saying.
I prayed.
I know you prayed and I appreciate that, but I was laughing because I'm just like, I am burdening this man because you were an amazing listener. So, of course, I leaned on you heavily in the beginning, but I saw just like, man, this will drive me crazy. Let me find some other people that I can actually lean on too. So it was hard for me to keep leaning on you because I saw that this was a lot for you and you honestly didn't know what to do.
Yeah, it was, I didn't know what to say. It's a lot of times the only thing I could do was just sit back and just listen. I really didn't know what to say. Only thing I can do is just pray. And that was it. I was thankful for the people that you did talk to, the close friendships, with the people who help, contribute to the book. But it was hard, but I'm glad we were able to somewhat get through everything.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep. I appreciate your help during that time. That's what I needed at the time. So, and I know that a lot of people were praying. I just knew that there were prayers that were keeping me together. That's one thing I appreciate is that those who let me know that I'm definitely praying, not those who are saying, I'll pray for you. And I really mean it. I really knew that these people who said they were praying for me. So it's the reason why after I lost my almost twin sister, that was the point where I just realized people really don't know what to do for grievers. Right. They really don't know how to help. And so I wasn't angry or with anybody for not knowing. I was disappointed at first, but then I started understanding that they're doing the best that they know how.
Right.
And so then for her to suggest this book, I was like, I hope this helps someone give some suggestions on how they can help someone who's grieving so that the next griever doesn't have to go through what I went through and they will have a chance of being able to get through their healing process better and those supporting them will have a better understanding of how to do that.
Right. Well, let me ask you this then. What does an active listener look like then?
I'll give you an example of the person who actually helped me write this book. She had lost a family member. And after she lost the person, I had become very sensitive to people who've lost family members, anybody at this point, because I know the pain that comes along with it. And so I went over to her house and I listened to her. I listened to her for about an hour before I even spoke. I just listened. And what I was trying to listen for was trying to make sure I can understand what she was trying to process. What was she trying to make sense of in her processing? And as I listened to her, I noticed that she was dealing with some guilt of feeling inconvenienced to have to plan the funeral.
Right.
Versus just being able to attend a funeral, because she was coming from out of town just like me. She went there and it was put on her like, well, since you are you're going to be a minister, can you kind of take care of this? So it's not like she didn't want to do it, but it was an inconvenience, and you didn't want to say that because you feel guilty already.
Right.
There were anxiety of how the loss would impact her children, her life. There were losses. She was dealing with guilt of not spending more time with this person. When you move away from a family member, like I was in another town when all my family members were moved away, and she was feeling like that, like, wow, I wish I could have been up there more. And I just listened and validated some feelings, and they were similar to what I felt as I attempted to process my losses. Like, for example, when we went up to help bury my sister, I honestly wasn't expecting to plan the funeral and do everything.
Right.
I honestly was thinking that I was going to be able to help, but I became the point person, and my niece jumped in, and she was like amazing. She planned it. She should be a funeral planner. That's how I feel. And
did they just ask you, like, did someone just ask you, or was this just assumed that you would take over this?
Well, one of my family members told me, well, you have to do it. Of course, my mom had passed. My dad was gone. My other sister, my brother was way out of town. You'll learn that he's a truck driver, so he was way out of town. His truck kept breaking down, poor kid. So everybody just said, okay, well, you have to do it.
Almost like by default, this is on you.
Right, and because we were so close in age, and when someone sees two people looking alike, they think you guys must be really close. So you should do it. Which, in all honesty, that was harder because we were same age. I was there with her in the hospital for 3.
That you can, because a lot of times you really don't see yourself going 100%.
And I know you're an artist yourself, so I mean, this is better fit for you in that sort of realm. I really love this, but what does that actually look like?
But have you made any visuals to go with those recordings? Have you done anything that you could really have done with that time and made more out of it? Have you recorded the session?
3 days right before she passed away, that was a lot. That was hard. And so I remember those feelings when I was talking to this friend. And I just confirmed, like, I understand I understand that guilt that comes with feeling inconvenienced. And, just let her know that I get it, and not shame her and say, well, you were the only one who can do it. So, it's just some of the things that we don't realize we're doing.
Right.
And I just listened and validated some of her feelings, like I said. And then I asked her questions to help her further process some of her thoughts, like, Were you upset? Did it feel like they inconvenienced you? Do you feel guilty about that? Do you feel like you know, some of these questions, and I just saw that you can tell that she was glad somebody understood and somebody can help, somebody understood what her mind was and wasn't shaming her for it and wasn't trying to make her feel like she shouldn't think that way.
Right.
And so when I asked her the questions, I wasn't trying to low-key fix the way she was grieving, like most people tried to do. They low-key, well, do you think that Jesus would feel that way? You're like, how do you know what Jesus feels? Just be quiet. Again, going back to the chapter.
There you go.
Use fewer words.
So with this first etiquette, how important would you say validating the griever's feelings? You know, how important is that?
It's very important. Very important, because there's already guilt that you're feeling as a griever. Like for me, I know that it was important to, because I was already feeling guilty for not being the one that died, especially when it came to my sister. I think that's the reason why that one hit me the hardest, because it was just like trying to understand why was it that she died and I didn't. And I felt guilty for not having a better attitude or response to certain things that happened as I was planning the funeral or at the funeral.
Did you feel like you and your sister, was there anything that you felt like you didn't get a chance to say to her during that time that maybe made you feel guilty? Or
that was good. Well, God's grace was good, because over the years we had drifted apart, and God gave us a chance to resolve a lot of stuff that was a misunderstanding in our life. And in all honesty, it came from what people had told us as we grew up. And we resolved all that when actually 5 months before she passed away. And I couldn't.
We usually say we're lost, but never say we want to be found. Disguises are a way of protecting ourselves. What if that's the real me? What if isolation creates the best creation? More notoriety, deeper sobriety. My greatest light was in the dark. My greatest darkness was from the light. When will the sun touch the horizon and the moon touch the sea? Who is Floyd? What is Floyd? Just what side are you gonna see?
Understand, it was one of my good friends who inspired me and said, hey, this is 20 years of stuff y'all got to deal with. Go ahead and deal with it. And we resolved it. And that was great. And we were getting close again. And that's the part right there that was kind of hard, because I'm just like, we were getting close again. And so it was just, I felt like it was unfair too. So that was just one of those things of that many people didn't know what I was going through, because I felt I didn't have a chance to talk about it, because there weren't many who were validating my feelings. I had, like, my editor, she was there. She helped validate my feelings. She was amazing. And I'll talk about her in another chapter again. Later, after my sister passed away, I got myself a circle of friends who helped me validate my feelings and remind me of who I was in Christ. And that's another book I will be writing for the griever. But I just felt so alone, and I truly didn't think anyone wanted to help me. But eventually, God gave me what I needed.
So validating is very important during the healing process, you would say?
Yeah, because there's a lot of emotions that goes on. You're feeling guilty, you're feeling exhausted, you're feeling shame, especially when it comes to a person who has faith in God. Your faith is shaken.
Right.
Or shook, whichever the word is, when you go through grieving, because I know for me, I was like, God, I've been serving you a lot. I've been doing a lot for you. Why are you allowing all this to happen to me? And often we don't really look at it like that. We just try to pretend like, oh, I'm handling it good. You know, God is good. But when it really came down to it, I was kind of wondering why.
Yeah, you know, I'm part of this, we call it a squad team at church, and we worked on this document. It's called Validation. You know, at the time, I really didn't understand all the ins and out of it, but a couple things that they said about validating and why, I guess basically 5 ways to practice validating with others. 1, be present. 2, provide accurate reflection. 3, appreciate their context or background. 4, attempt to normalize their feelings and or behavior. And 5, be genuinely interested.
So why didn't you say that before you asked me that question? Because that would have helped give me a better format of an example, because that's exactly it. Because being present is so important, because when you're not present, when people were not present with me, I felt rushed. Like they were trying to, I don't think they were intentionally doing it, but I felt like they were trying to rush me to get better. And when they would not really, what was the other ones you said?
Yeah, you had be present, provide accurate reflection, appreciate their context or background, attempt to normalize their feelings and or behavior, and 5, be genuinely interested. Basically demonstrate empathy and be vulnerable, you know, with them.
Yeah, I just think that all those require slowing down. Slow to speak, slow down, slow to become angry. All those attributes take slowing down and stop trying to do things in your time. Let the griever get through the process in the time that God allows. That's
Right.
so.
Not trying to rush them through
Yes,
to get them to the other side, basically.
yes, because that's our temptation in this world. We want a quick fix.
Now, I read that one of your friends shared a song with you by Jeffrey Gray called Not Right Now. Can you tell me a little bit about that story and why the song meant so much to you?
Well, the friend name is Nicole, who was attending our church in another city. And she came to the city we're in to work an internship right across the street from me. So we made a pact to go ahead and go to lunch together. And this, again, is my sister hadn't passed away yet, but the other ones had passed away, and that was still weighing on me. And so I told her about the frustrating comments that were made by many who were trying to help me deal with my losses. And she said, there's this song out there that exactly what you're talking about. I can't remember it. Then she finally found the song, and so I listened to it. And when I listened to it, it helped verbalize what I was feeling. When many, in so many ways, said this happened for a reason. Right. And whether it was a good reason or a bad reason, it just wasn't the time. So in Jeffrey's song, he's just saying someday we can talk about this stuff, but not right now.
Right.
You know, he was saying, you say it happens for a reason, but man, it doesn't matter. It's not right now. You know, instead he made a very good comment, which again goes back to this chapter, use fewer words. You can just sit with me and just pray.
Right.
Or you don't even have to pray, because, you know, sometimes people pray and it's laced with accusations and comments. So that's one of those times where you don't need to talk.
Right.
If you feel it in your heart that you really want to try to low-key fix the person in your prayers, just leave your prayers to yourself. But it's just one of those things that song, he was just saying, not now, not while I'm in the midst of all these emotions, guilt, the emotions of guilt, sadness, pain, all this stuff. We're not in the middle of it, not right now. It is not the right time to say these things, which, as I was saying earlier, it was my grieving mind that was saying, like, I just feel like you trying to fix me.
Right. trying to hurry up, get you through this, and you're still going through this storm, and it's like, not right now.
Right. Not right now.